some bug at the same time.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's what's been going on, though. Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Gotta do what you can do while you can do it. So, dear Heavenly Father, we just ask for you to forgive us of our sins and the sins of our ancestors. Thank you for waking us up this morning, Father. We just want to send a prayer out to all the members, Father. There's a bug going around. We ask that you protect us and keep us from all hurt, harm, and danger, Father. We ask, Father, that you shower them with your health and your love, Father. We trust in you. We don't exalt sicknesses, diseases, or disorders, Father. We exalt you, Father, in your right hand, because the right hand of Yahuwah does valiantly, Father. And we trust in you. You are our shield and our buckler, Father. So again, we thank you for that health. We thank you for that energy. We thank you for that vitality, Father. We thank you for that strength, Father. And we thank you for blessing us, Father, to be aware of the things that are coming, not in fear, Father, but in faith. All these things we do ask and pray in the name of your beloved Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen.
What the old folks say, you get your stuff dropping, ain't nothing but the devil.
Say what?
Ain't nothing but the devil.
Ain't nothing but the devil. So, still talking about the spirit of Elijah. We're still on Am I My Brother's Keeper? It's not showing on the screen, is it? Why did it not do that? Hold on, I just went to it. Let me end slideshow.
I was just saying that, but you started praying.
Yeah, hold on. I don't know why it did that. It was already on. Hold on. Let's try this again. Weird.
Ain't nothing but the devil.
Ain't nothing but the devil. Okay, let's try this again.
He busy.
On the screen?
Yup.
Okay, so continuing about Am I My Brother's Keeper, right? There's so much stuff going on in the world right now. You could literally do lessons about nothing about the world disasters, the wars, everything that's going on. And that's by design because they want to keep us distracted and in fear. And we can't do that. We can't stay there. We can't manifest on that because, like, that stuff, bro. I was looking into so much stuff on the stuff that they have planned. When I say they're literally planning some kind of they just have a lot of plans going on, bro. Like, we're not really gonna get into that because this is about we're about faith right now. But I'm gonna go over some of the stuff that's going on right now. So, what do you know about the World Economic Forum?
When all the top economic people get together and talk about how they want to, talk about economics, the money flow, businesses and all that.
Okay.
But at some point, they're all trying to get to come to one.
Right. That's the end game.
Yeah.
The end game is one world government, one world currency. So we're going to read a little bit about the World Economic Forum. So the World Economic Forum is the International Organization for Public-Private Cooperation. The forum engages the foremost political, business, cultural, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. It was established in 1971 as a not-for-profit foundation and is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. Now, why is it always in Geneva or Switzerland? That's like home base. Nothing bad can happen there. That's like safe. What were you going to say about Geneva?
I mean, that's close to that whole CERN thing, too.
To the CERN?
Yeah, the CERN, the Hadron Collider.
Hadron Collider.
To talk to demons. Cooperate.
So that was the first red flag. I'm like, okay, this in Geneva. Okay, got it. It's an independent, impartial, and not tied to any special interest, allegedly. The forum strives in all its efforts to demonstrate entrepreneurship in the global public interest while upholding the highest standards of governance.
Hey, that's some good people.
Good people, wholesome.
Yeah.
They got our best interests at heart.
Oh, you know it.
Moral and intellectual integrity is the heart of everything it does.
Yeah, okay.
It's all about integrity.
Okay.
Our activities are shaped by a unique institutional culture founded on the stakeholder theory, which asserts that an organization is accountable to all parts of society. The institution carefully blends and balances the best of many kinds of organizations from both the public and private sectors, international organizations, and academic institutions. We believe that progress happens by bringing together people from all walks of life who have the drive and the influence to make positive change, right? So that was something briefly about the World Economic
All
Forum.
that means is the most influential people, no matter what type of job you have.
See,
you're a politician,
you
president. I mean,
you just read between the lines.
all type of stuff. They all come together for one common goal.
And so, because like I've heard of different things about the World Economic Forum, I had never really researched into them. And so, with any organization, you need to look who founded it, right? So, do you know who Klaus Schwab is?
Never heard of. I heard of Schwab though.
Right. So he's a German guy. He was born March the 30th of 1938. Basically, his family worked for the Nazis when all that stuff was going on.
What?
They were contractors, right? It says his parents had moved from Switzerland to Germany during the Third Reich in order for his dad to assume the role of director at Esker YAH'S AG, an industrial company and contractor for the Nazis. So that was what he was raised in, right? And when you start looking into that word Schwab, I mean, they try to say it's a conspiracy theorist, but like the etymology, a lot of times that goes back to Rothschild.
Yeah.
So I looked at that and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So to make a long story short, I'm not going to read all this. So he goes to school, he gets engineering degrees, then he gets doctorate, and then he ends up having a mentor, Henry Kissinger.
Oh my goodness.
You know who Henry Kissinger is?
I've heard of Henry Kissinger.
So his mentor was literally Henry Kissinger. So, well, maybe Henry Kissinger, maybe he was a good guy. Maybe he's a good guy. So let's look into his mentor, right? Because remember, this guy was working, his family was working for the Nazis, right? Mm-hmm. And again, that name Schwab, it actually goes back to, there's two different sources, to the Jewish people, but like you start looking into like the history of where they come from, and you start seeing the word dukedom, Duke. Whenever you see that, that's Esau. Okay. Whenever you see that. Okay. So let's see about this. So this is an article. It says, from Cambodia to Bangladesh, a brief history of Henry Kissinger's alleged war crimes. So wait, the creator of the World Economic Forum's mentor is a guy that allegedly had war crimes, right? And that half of this guy's face is on here, but you'll see a better picture of it on the next slide. So it says, in his 8 years at the helm of U.S. foreign policy, only 8 years, Henry Kissinger's unique brand of realpolitik diplomacy was blamed for genocides, massacres, rape, and torture on an industrial scale.
Why do they all go for that? Like,
bro,
all of the same stuff. He's
the architect of the U.S. efforts to contain the Soviet Union during the Cold War, and he prioritized ideology over morality. So his idea over the moral. But you know, the World Economic Forum is all about integrity. And this was this guy's mentor. Yeah. Now, Henry Kissinger was a Jewish man, right? And was responsible for the deaths of 3 to 4, sometimes 5 million people between the years of 1969 and 1976.
People from the Soviet Union, or where? It's all over the world, or where?
Okay. He was working for the United States government. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna keep going. Cambodia, because I didn't want to put all the information. There's so much information about him. But if you want to read this slide, go ahead.
Cambodia. Nowhere has the impact of Kissinger's influence been more keenly felt than in Cambodia, where his role in expanding the Vietnam War through a secret bombing campaign in 1969 and ground incursion by U.S. forces the following year leaves a festering wound on the Southeast Asian nation to this day. Okay, so he was a mastermind behind Vietnam. Wow. Right. The United States dropped over 540,000 tons of bombs in a campaign.
How many?
540,000 tons.
Oh, so because we were at war with them. Okay, that makes sense. We're at war. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay. The United States dropped over 540,000 tons of bombs in a campaign known as Operation Menu, which he and then President Nixon pursued without the backing of knowledge of Congress in an effort to destroy the Khmer Rouge. The U.S. was not at war with Cambodia.
So why are you dropping that on them then? That don't even make sense.
It's always something behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Don't make no sense, bro.
Yeah.
Don't make no sense.
Felt the barbaric operation was needed to prevent the Khmer Rouge from supporting the communist North Vietnamese army. Okay. Killed over 310,000 and displaced millions.
So, and this was just one thing, but in his 7 years, probably closer to 5 million, according to some other sources.
He almost on Hitler's level.
Bro, and you know what? You know he won a Nobel Peace Prize?
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before on TV.
Yeah, he won a Nobel Peace Prize, right?
Yeah.
Killing millions of people.
Yeah.
Okay. So, staying in the vein about the World Economic Forum, right? So they are projecting or predicting what's going to happen to the world. So another fun fact about the World Economic Forum, originally it was called the European Economic Forum, and then they changed the name to World. So that a little game that they play, right? It says the biggest threats, right? Now, according, because like I got this PDF file, long document going, I'm going through it, and I'm just gonna keep trying to bring stuff out about it, right? Yeah. So it says the biggest threats to the world. 66% of these correspondents or people that they survey, these highly intellectual or influential people, said that extreme weather is going to be a danger to the world.
Because we have that, everybody probably has that HARP system. You can change the weather up.
I mean, we just had an earthquake last night.
I know, that was weird.
Out of nowhere, right?
On the west side, we didn't feel it.
Yeah, but on the east side, we felt that thing. Now, look at number 2 at 53%.
AI generated misinformation.
Yeah.
AI generated misinformation and disinformation.
So,
wow.
So
you don't misinform people and give them the wrong information on purpose.
On purpose. So, and that's the thing about the dangers with AI. It's already a sentient being now. Yeah. It can think for itself now, to an extent. But 53% of them know that something's going to go wrong with AI. They know it.
I remember, was that you that posted that one thing on our page about that AI?
No, and that was Jessica, and I meant to put that in here, but I didn't.
That AI robot beat up an employee.
Oh no, that was me. No, yeah, that was me. Yeah.
And then nobody even talked about it until years after it happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a robot, because they cut off the other 2 robots. I guess the one robot.
He got mad.
He cut off. I guess he got mad and he attacked the employee.
Mm-hmm. That was at Tesla. Yeah, that was at Tesla. Yeah. So another one is societal and or political polarization. Now we're going to talk about that here in a minute. Another one is the cost of living crisis, right? Inflation.
Everything's going up.
And then cyber attacks. So this is what they're saying is going to happen. So yeah, cyber attacks.
Well, they just talking about this week, China cyber attacking us. They're talking about that.
You know it's going to happen. That's why they gave us that movie Leave the World Behind at the end of 2023. Yeah. Because the movie because I feel like that was a remake, because I saw another movie a few years prior that went more in depth in China and some of these other countries. North Korea were all in conglomerate, were together when that same scenario basically happened. Except you see people dying, and they give this stuff to where you can put on to say that you're going to be with them or not. If you decide not to, they're going to kill you.
Yeah, they're talking about Russia and China this week.
And Iran. You know Iran. So the way this World Economic Forum is working is they try to do it like in 15-year intervals, but for their projections, they do it either in 2 years for threats or risks and 10 years. So for the 2 year, right, this is what they are predicting. We just talked about misinformation and disinformation, right? Extreme weather events is number 2 on that list. Societal polarization, and next slide we're going to start talking about that. Cyber insecurity, grid going down, whatever, cyber attack. Interstate armed conflict.
Really?
Lack of economic opportunity.
Yeah.
Inflation. Yeah. Economic downturn. Pollution. So
you missed involuntary migration.
Oh yeah, involuntary migration. Yeah. In the next 2 years, we're already seeing it with the Gaza Hamas situation in Ukraine. Mexico.
Water, yeah.
But let's talk about social polarization. So social polarization, you know what it is?
I mean, it's all about being polarizing to take over whatever your idea is. Pretty much, you know, keep showing it and make people. It's like mind control, bro.
It is like mind control,
Yeah.
but social polarization is the splitting of a society into two distinct groups that are different ends of a spectrum, like a civil war, such as rich and poor, white and black. It can also refer to divisions within a city, right? So that's one definition of it, and then this other one, which is gives you more information. It says social polarization is the segregation within a society that emerges when factors such as income, inequality, real estate fluctuations, and economic displacement result in the differentiation of social groups from high income to low income. It is the state and or tendency denoting the growth of groups at the extremities of the social hierarchy and the parallel shrinking of groups around its middle. So basically, it's eliminating the middle class, for one.
If you're gonna be rich, you're gonna be poor.
Right, either rich or poor. And then they're going to further, socially polarize you with white versus black, Democrat versus Republican, Crip versus Blood, whatever, any way that they can. But they know that they are predicting that there's going to be an influx in this within the next 2 years. So this is prediction starting in 2024.
All the way you can predict that is if you causing that stuff. Man.
Controlled opposition, right? So those are the things within the next 2 years, 2024, 2025. But in 10 years going to 2034, things switch up a little bit. So it's still extreme weather events by 2034 is the number one thing that's going to be happening. So especially with CERN and HARP and all these other weapons that they have, that stuff is going to increase. Critical change to Earth systems. So there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be dying off, because look at the next one. Biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse.
Yeah, ain't no way you can predict this unless you know it's gonna happen on purpose.
Bro,
Yeah.
bro, when I tell you they have a script that they go by and
Yeah.
they mean what they mean and
Yeah.
they say what they say, like I was looking at that, I'm like, okay, that's crazy. Again, natural resource shortage, right?
Of course, if you got ecosystems collapsing, you're gonna lose a lot of plant life and food.
Misinformation, disinformation, adverse outcomes of AI technologies. So within the next 10 years, more than likely, it could be a Terminator situation going on. It could literally be like that, or a Matrix situation going on. The rise of the machines.
Yeah, they take over.
So they're predicting by 2034, some of this stuff is going to go down. Involuntary migration again.
That's not gonna ever stop.
Huh?
You got wars going on.
Yeah, but people don't think that can come here.
Yeah.
That's the thing that people need to pay attention to. Even that interstate conflict, that's technically between countries, right?
Yeah.
Because intra would be inside of one country. They try to say America's one country, but really America's like 50 countries that are united into one body.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's why they're all different states. If you look into how they define stuff, you'd be like, oh, okay, so this is actually that's why we have our own flag, And then, of course, involuntary migration, cyber insecurity again, societal polarization, and pollution. But these are the key points that, and I didn't really go in depth with all that there was something, because, man, when I tell you they got so much information, it don't even make sense.
Yeah, I believe it.
So when they talk about these environmental risks, if you don't mind reading that.
Environmental risks hit the front of no return. Hit the point of no return. Mm-hmm. Environmental risks continue to dominate the risk landscape over all three time frames. 2/3 of GRP's respondents rank extreme weather as the top risk most likely to present a material crisis on a global scale in 2024.
So this is going to be the year of natural disasters.
Yeah.
2024.
How in the world can you predict that unless you're controlling that?
This is going to be the year of natural disasters.
Wow.
This is what they're planning. Because you see, we're going to talk about California here in a minute again.
Yeah.
But keep going.
With the warming phase of the El Nino southern oscillation cycle projected to intensify and persist until May this year. It is also seen as the second most severe risk over the 2-year time frame and similar to last year's rankings. Nearly all environmental risks feature among the top 10 over the longer term.
So again, they know natural disaster is going to be hitting this year.
And you talking about California, they having the hardest rainfall they've ever had.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Real quick, we're going to talk about it. So then it says, finish this one.
Yeah. What, chapter 2, was it 2.3?
Yeah, that's fine.
Chapter 2.3, a 3 degrees Celsius world explores the consequences of passing at least one climate tipping point within the next decade. Recent research suggests that the threshold for triggering long-term, potentially irreversible and self-perpetuating changes to select planetary systems is likely to be passed at or before 1.5 Celsius degrees of global warming, which is currently anticipated to be reached by the early 2030s.
And notice it said select because they selected that place, right? So, like we've been saying, man, this stuff is planned. We know it. I got a video, right? And I still haven't figured out the audio situation, but I'm going to grab that mic and I'm going to play this video. All right. Let's see. This one.
Keep up the great work. I wanted to be here and thank these soldiers and troopers and other personnel. As far as I know, it's the first time in American history that a state has led the effort.
The federal government said, we're not helping, so Texas said, all right, enough is enough. Governor Abbott, keep up the great work.
I wanted to be here and thank these soldiers and troopers and other personnel. As far as I know, it's the first time in American history that a state has led the effort to prevent people from entering the United States illegally. Let's be clear. That's the job and the responsibility of Joe Biden and the federal government. There's only one reason why people were trying to enter illegally in the first place, and that's because they perceived the permission by the Biden administration to enter.
Have you done everything you can do with executive authority? Or is there more you could do? Absent
I've done all I can do. Just give me the power. I've asked from the very day I got in office. Give me the borders patrol. Give me the people. Give me the people, the judges. Give me the people who can stop this and make it work.
He talks about having no power, yet he magically had the power to terminate remain in Mexico, reinstate catch and release, end Title 42, shut down border wall construction. The list goes on and on. Shoot, almost 8 dozen executive actions during his first 100 days in office.
The Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, building the barriers that were needed to prevent people from entering, and then having the personnel behind those barriers to ensure that no one would enter. I wanted to be here and thank these soldiers and troopers and other personnel. Texas was able to secure the border and prevent people from entering illegally only because of their unprecedented effort in a challenging terrain and sweltering conditions. And they were up to the task. And similarly, their fellow soldiers up and down the entire border from here all the way to El Paso are working in the same way. And I have the same gratitude for all National Guard from here to El Paso and DPS troopers from here to El Paso for working around the clock to make sure that we build the barriers that are needed and we deploy the personnel that are needed to make sure that we secure the border. Now, never forget this. It was just 3 years ago in these exact same areas where we had the lowest number of illegal border crossings in about 40 years. And the reason it was that way is because we had an administration that imposed the Title 42 policy, the Remain in Mexico policy, the ending of catch and release, and the building of a border wall. When Joe Biden came in, he eliminated all of those measures, and that led to the unprecedented illegal border crossings. Texas has had to respond to the Biden administration's refusal to enforce the immigration laws. We've deployed more National Guard, thousands of National Guard.
Stop it.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he is sending nearly 1,000.
So, huh? Right. Yeah, from Florida, literal. So this border situation is heating up. We know that there's 26 states or countries that signed a petition agreeing with Texas. So now kind of another one of the dominoes is dropped on that.
The federal government
I
said
don't know why there's 3 of these. It shouldn't be. It says that the Florida will send up to 1,000 National Guard members and State Guard volunteers to assist Texas. So you don't really see this unless it's like a national emergency where everyone's sending troops. But no, they're going in direct opposition to Biden. And
It only happens usually like during like a severe weather, like tornadoes.
right, natural disaster.
Yeah.
Right. So when people say that there can't be a civil war, that stuff ain't going on, I'm like, y'all are crazy. Because the dividing line is being drawn. Like, which side you gonna be on, right? And so, we just survived a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And when you think about these elites, so again, like when it comes to their planning, it's always so far ahead. So I don't know if people are aware that they've been preparing for the next pandemic. It's called, this training is called Disease X. This training, they're already preparing for it. It's called Disease X. And we're not going to read it all. But it says there's no real way to say, oh, yeah, the next one's going to be 20 times worse or than the last one was. But, again, they're doing testing, and they know another pandemic is coming.
Yeah, of course it's coming because people
Right.
find the pandemic.
Yeah,
People just don't open their
And so,
eyes, bro.
if you look into Disease X, because again I'm trying to get through this, you'll start seeing that their answer is going to be to make sure that that we get timely vaccinations and make sure that everything's able to roll out more efficiently. Like that's their cure all for everything, right? So I'm not going to speak against it. I'm just saying look into Disease X because they're already planning it. They're preparing themselves for it. Also, there's already a worldwide epidemic going on. I didn't put this in here. It's coming from mosquitoes. It's called the Dengue. I think it's called the Dengue, Dengue, if I'm not mistaken. And it's really been ramping up. There's like 4.1 million cases in the Americas or something like that. And it comes from mosquitoes. And they said it's cyclical. It's every like 3 to 5 years. All of a sudden it just upticks. And then now in the Americas, it's really going on. But you're not hearing anything about it in the news. So it's called the Dengue. Like if y'all remind me, next time I'll try to make sure I have it in there. Again, we're not going to read all this, but just know they are planning and preparing for another pandemic. All right. And we know that the United States, they just did what?
Airstrikes.
Right. And we know that we had 3 of our people that ended up dying, right?
Yeah.
Now, the weird thing about that was it was 3 quote unquote black people. And they know Americans see that and Americans really going to be like on it trying to get something done. But the places where Biden actually bombed, like they were told, look, you cannot bomb past this line. And then, so they had 5 days to evacuate people.
What?
So
So the killers knew ahead of time what
they had 5 days.
What in the world?
They had 5 days. So they got all their important personnel up out of there. So if anything, it was more civilians than anything that died.
It was a show of force.
Yeah, it was a show of force. And then Biden and them, they did say that they're going to continue to hit different sites. But the reason why they're not crossing that line because they don't really want it with Iran, because Iran's with Russia and Russia's with China.
Yeah.
They belong together, right?
The new rounds of torrential rain about to hit California. Life-threatening flooding is possible starting tonight. Samara Theodore is tracking it all.
Right?
Good morning, Samara.
Good morning, Gio. So this next storm comes on the heels of a storm that left much of Long Beach, California underwater. You can see the cars here, so we're looking at a potentially compounding effect. The biggest threat stretched from Napa all the way down to San Diego. We're talking life-threatening flash flooding, mudslides, even in urban areas. This is a stronger and more widespread storm that's getting ready to move in. So let's talk timing. All right, so with this next system, tonight at 9 p.m., we'll see the worst of it in cities like San Francisco, Big Sur. That'll stick around through the overnight hours into tomorrow in the economic forum, the biggest thing that was going to happen in 2024 Grammys is taking place in Los Angeles, California. That's when we'll see the heaviest rain over Southern California, along with
they have us so
confused up to 40, 50 miles per hour, so we could be in for power outages as well. The morning commute is going to be a tough one for San Diego. Heavy rain still falling Monday morning, and even with
but what America and the government is doing, they're actually preparing for a war with China. But they're not telling us they're preparing for a war with China. Now, again, I did not take all the information. I just took a little bit of it. If you want to read this next slide.
By 2027, the U.S. military's logistics arm, U.S. Transportation Command, has had a major success, funneling more than 660 million pounds of equipment and over 2 million rounds of artillery to the Ukrainian military in this war with Russia. That's my thing with that. Like, how you gonna get them all of our supplies? What if we get hit or get into the war? We're gonna be so underfunded. Supporting Taiwan, roughly 100 miles from the coast of China, will be orders of magnitude harder, U.S. officials and experts acknowledge. The U.S. has not formally said it would intervene if China were to attack Taiwan, but President Joe Biden has repeatedly suggested he would deploy U.S. troops to defend the island. Xi has ordered his military to be ready to take Taiwan by 2027.
But the United States, they're kind of laughing it off. Read the next part of it.
U.S. officials say, but many analysts see that as an attempt to galvanize his military rather than a timeline for invasion. So they just laughed it off.
So they laughing it off. So what kind of sense does that make? Yeah. You got China, you got Russia, you got Iran, and all the BRICS coming together, de-dollarizing, building up their economic war power and their physical war power. Yeah. And then the president, or whatever you want to call it, the leader of China, is telling people, be ready, we're going to take this by 2027. Yeah. I personally think it's going to happen before, because I think there's going to be too many fronts that America is going to be on. Yeah. But you know, even when Trump was president, even with Biden, they've always said that if anything happens to Taiwan, we're going to fight and defend it, because that's a very vital military post to have.
Well, it's not just that. Taiwan produces the most little computer chips.
That too.
Out of the whole world, and we use them, and so does China.
Not just computer chips. There's a lot of stuff. Everything doesn't just come from China.
Yeah,
I think another one in the top 5 is Taiwan. A lot of clothes and other stuff comes from Taiwan. And so again, all of this stuff is going on, and we're people just in la la land, and you know, this is the new normal. They believe in America's going to get back to normal, and I'm like, man, y'all wow, y'all is crazy. That don't even.
U.S. officials say they just trying to galvanize the military. It's not a real threat.
Yeah, I don't think the Chinese, they don't play. And then again, they're not alone anymore. Yeah. It's not just them. Yeah. It's not. So now that we got through all of that, we're going to get into the lesson today, right? This is about, am I my brother's keeper? The abundant friend of God, right? We're going to go to the book of Exodus chapter 2. Exodus chapter 2. But before we do that, actually, we're going to do a recap. But we will be in Exodus chapter 2. So quickly, what is effective communication?
Being able to convey your point and get right to the point without confusing somebody. Like being precise and concise in what you're saying. Get straight to the point.
Right. The process.
Make sure that person can understand what you're saying.
Right. The process of exchanging or transmitting ideas, information, thoughts, knowledge, data, opinion, or messages from the sender through a selected method or channel to the receiver with a purpose that can be, like you said, understood with clarity, right? Who is the most important? What is the most important part of that message? It comes from the sender, right? Because it starts with the sender and it ends with the sender, right? And there's different forms of communication. What's up?
Is it a fan?
Verbal, nonverbal, written, visual, probably bathroom. So you remember the 7 steps of effective communication? What does it mean to be clear?
All those C's, I think.
Yeah, the 7 C's, right?
Clear, correct.
Right, clear.
Concise is one.
Yeah, clear, because you don't leave any room for assumptions or misunderstandings. Correct, make sure you're giving them correct information. Complete, make sure it's a complete thought and you're not just scatterbrained and going everywhere. Concise, get to the point, meat and potatoes, right? Meat and potatoes. And then there was concrete. You got to make sure about the idea and that you have confidence in it. You know, it can't just be like, oh, I heard from phoneme, from what's his face. Yeah, so that's got to be true. And then it's also got to be a coherent thought. It's got to make sense. And one of the most important C's is it has to be courteous. You cannot be communicating effectively with people and just being outright disrespectful. You got to take the time to understand their perspective, right? So we talked about the 8th C, right? What was the 8th C?
I don't remember.
To be coachable.
Oh, coachable, yeah.
Right? Right, coachable. Capable of being easily taught and trained to do something better. Coachable. So in that, if the body of Mashiach and the people that are part of the body, if they're being coachable, the leader has to be approachable. Right? Approachability, that's key. Especially easy to meet or deal with. Capable of being approached. You have to be accessible. Accessibility is key. And as a leader, your purpose is to be a servant. Because whenever you're in a servant leadership style, you're 4.6 times more likely to get people to work to the best of their abilities. We were called to be servants of the Most High. You know, even as leaders, our job is to serve. It shouldn't be an assembly or if you call it a church or whatever, to where it's all about just that man speaking. It ain't, you're just always exalting him, and even if he's wrong, you know.
Everybody's scared of him.
Right, and he's a multi-millionaire just from them. You know, that's not servant leadership, because what are you doing with the funds to help people, right? So we understand these things, right? Because the servant leader sets the strategic vision, encourages ownership and autonomy, makes sure that the team has the required sources, resources, budget, skills, and attention, right? That is needed. Attention is key. And it provides a framework for their team that can flourish. So you're putting them in a situation where they can succeed, right? And then you empower people from the bottom up, because your body is only as good as every joint. You can't have, the head is off the chain and then your knees and your back ain't worth nothing. No, everybody's got to be functioning. Everything's got to be in order. So it's not so much about one person, but the whole, right? And then so staying in that vein, then the leader must know something. We talked about emotional intelligence. You have to make sure that people can literally understand or overstand where you're coming from or the information that you're trying to give them. And then you have to take their feelings into account. You have to take the time to make sure that you are giving off the right information and that you're receiving it right. Emotional intelligence, because that's something that a lot of people don't have. For instance, perfect example, you could be talking to somebody and you let them know, hey, I only got 10 minutes. I got to go pick up my kids. I got to go do this and that.
Yeah, it rubs them the wrong way.
It rubs them the wrong way. Or they hold you hostage. Next you know, it's been an hour, 2 hours later. That's people that have a low emotional intelligence. Like, nobody's saying that I won't talk to you again when I get another chance to, but certain people, it's like they're not used to having people around, so they just always want to try to hold somebody like, my brother, I love you, trust me, we gonna kick it. But right now I gotta go pick up little man. You know what I'm saying? Like, no biggie, it's no hard feelings, it's no nothing. But some people don't even really take that into account because they just wanna and always gotta be talking, right? But emotional intelligence is important. It's vital to the body of Mashiach. It's imperative. You gonna say something?
No.
Okay. So that was about emotional intelligence. So I'm gonna ask you a question. So all of this is about effective communication coming from the leader's perspective. And the men of Israel are leaders, right? So we got to be coachable and approachable. We can be in two different phases, right? So what other ability must a leader have?
Be able to make decisions.
Make decisions. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. So we're going to go to Romans 10, right? And I'm going to, through scriptures, try to explain what the Most High was showing me, right? So we're going to go to Romans 10. And we're going to read verses 16 through 18. It says, but they have not all obeyed the Besorah. For Isaiah saith, Yahuwah, who have believed our report. So who can believe this word? Who can hold on to this word, right? That you've given us. So then faith cometh by what? Hearing. And hearing by the word of Elohim. But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily, their sound went into all the earth, and the words unto the ends of the world. So what's the one thing that a leader or anybody that's a part of the body of Mashiach has got? What's that skill that we got to have?
We got to obey.
Right. Read verse 17.
So then faith cometh by hearing.
Right.
And hearing by the word of God. Because
we know faith is a muscle. Faith is an action, right?
Yeah.
But of course we have to strengthen our faith. But it says faith cometh by
hearing.
So that means that every leader has to be able to
hear
and listen to the words of the Most High.
Yeah.
Right? Or listen to because that's the only way that faith can come in. That's the only way that the word can come in. So I can't be my brother's keeper if I can't
hear.
If I can't
obey.
Listen.
Listen, obey, hear.
Leaders still have to listen also.
Yeah.
A lot of these places, it's like, no, I'm the leader and I said this, and that, and you don't get any input. Yeah. That's wrong. That don't even make no sense. How can you be an assembly? How can you be a tribe? How can you be a nation? That don't even add up.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to Galatians 3. We're going to read verses 2 and 5. This only would I learn of you. Receive you the Spirit by works of the law or by the hearing of faith? So the Spirit comes in through the hearing of the faith, right? He therefore that ministereth to you the Spirit and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? The only way the faith can get into you is you have to hear it. But there's a specific type of hearing that you have to have. Because what people don't really take into account is faith is a law, right? So the law of faith. It says Romans 3, again, 27 through 28. Go ahead.
Where is boasting then? It is excluded by what law? Of works. Nay, but by the law of faith. So
we don't boast like in the deeds that we're doing in the law, or I'm so holy, I'm so righteous, and we don't boast in that. It's about faith, right? But you can't have faith if you cannot hear. Sometimes you have to be like Elijah. Sometimes you have to sit down and listen to that still small voice, right? Okay, keep going.
Therefore, we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law.
But again, you still have to hear it. So now we're going to go to Romans 2. And we're going to read verses 12 through 13. Go ahead.
For as many as have sinned without law shall also perish without law. And as many as have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. Yeah. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified.
Now, we just read that faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And then this just says that not the hearers of the law are justified, but the doers. So there's a specific type of hearing or listening that we have to be, right? Because he said doers. Doers is a what you call a what word?
Now.
Doer?
Action.
It's an action.
Yeah.
Action. Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah. So we must all be active listeners.
No, that's a verb, my bad.
Yeah. Action verb, right. We all have to be active listeners. So the faith that cometh by hearing, so you're hearing the word, right? So you're believing on it, you're speaking on it, you're doing something, right? But when it comes to being your brother's keeper, you still have to take that same concept and dealing with your brother. So y'all can walk together, so y'all can be agreed, so y'all can grow, so the community can grow, so the assembly can grow, so we can survive the trying times that's coming. But you have to be humble enough to realize I can't always be the one talking. I can't always be taking the lead in everything. Because we're a body. Everybody has strengths. Everybody has weaknesses, right? The Most High, he's trying to, the people, the remnants that are going to make it are those that can come together in love and that prefer one another and that are active listeners to one another and to his word. Active listening, right? Because again, it's not the hearers of the law that are justified, but the doers, right? And we just read that faith is a law. So if you want to be pleasing to the Most High, you got to have faith, because without faith, it is impossible to please him. So when he talks about active listeners, so we're going to learn what it means to be an active listener, right? The skills to be an active listener. These are the things that we have to take into heart when dealing one with another, to where we don't have this confusion, we don't have this miscommunication, to where we can come together in love and actually get stuff done. Don't just come to a meeting, but actually come together and actually build stuff, create stuff that's going to last. Systems of survival, because the time is getting cut short and people don't even realize that, man. Don't even realize it. Go ahead.
The benefits of active listening. To understand the importance of active listening, ask yourself if you have ever had a conversation when you wondered if the other person was listening to what you were saying.
So has that ever happened to you?
I definitely have. Yeah, I definitely have. Especially when somebody calls that multitasking or have an active.
That's so disrespectful.
Or trying to blow you out,
Yeah, that multitasking. Don't do that when we're conversing about something serious. You know. Mm-hmm.
You wonder if your message is getting across, or if it's even worthwhile continuing to speak. It feels like talking to a brick wall, and it is something you want to avoid. By becoming a better listener, you can improve your productivity and your ability to influence, persuade, and negotiate. What is more, you'll avoid conflict. You'll avoid conflict and misunderstandings. All of these are necessary for workplace success.
Not even just workplace, just life. Just dealing with people. Yeah. So becoming a better listener, it improves productivity, and the ability to influence, persuade, and negotiate. That sounds like life right there. Yeah. Like that's vital skills that we all need. Yeah, I'm not sure who is that. Other Mike? DoorDash. Oh, it could be DoorDash. Yeah. So when he talks about active listeners, right? There's 5 keys to it, to being an active listener, right? The first one is paying attention. Come in.
It's open.
Come in.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is this?
Yep, 2301.
Okay, I'm making sure. I just see no numbers.
2301. This is it. Yeah.
Okay. Right back.
Okay. Being an active listener, you have to pay attention. So when you're dealing with somebody and they're speaking, you have to give them your undivided attention. You look at the speaker directly. You put aside distracting thoughts. You don't mentally prepare a rebuttal. Thank you so much. Huh? That's close. That's close enough.
I can't pronounce it.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much. Okay. So you look at the speaker directly. You put aside distracting thoughts, and you don't mentally prepare a rebuttal. Because a lot of times people listen to argue. But being an active listener, you don't do that. You're being an open vessel. You're being honest. You're coming in humility, right? You're not coming with that preconceived notion that you know what they're talking about or what they're going to say or you know the right answer. You got to listen to overstand. You don't listen to rebuttal, right? Right. Avoid being distracted by environmental factors, especially side conversation. And you also listen by giving them the correct body language.
That's the main key right there. Huh? If your body language is off, all heck can break loose.
Yeah, because you know, people with any type of emotional intelligence can be like, okay, you don't really care about nothing I'm talking about right now. Yeah. Like, but paying attention. So a lot of times we get so busy in life, we forget these little things with our interpersonal communications with people, with our interpersonal relationships with our family, because that's where everything starts from, with our friends, with the assembly. You got to give them that respect because you would want to receive that respect. You got to do unto others if you want to receive, right? So when it comes to being an effective listener, an active listener, you've got to pay attention and make sure that you're really listening, So that's one, right? The next one, you have to show that you're listening. So you don't just have to just pay attention. You have to prove that you're listening. You prove it by your body language and your gestures, right? You don't come off as, crossing your shoulders and looking away and constantly checking your phone and checking your watch and all that. You don't do that. You give an occasional nod. You smile and you use facial expressions. You make sure that your posture is open, right? That's why I said you don't want to cross your arms. None of that, because that can show that you think that you're above them.
Or standoffish.
And standoffish, right? And you encourage the speaker to continue with small verbal comments like yes. You let them know, right? So you got to pay attention and you have to show that you're listening. And so you can keep going on and making sure that you're getting the right overstanding, right? So after you've done those two things, there's the third one. You have to provide feedback.
Of course. Or it's like a one-word, like a one-sided conversation. You got to be able to talk back and be a point of view.
So, and I've always been the guy where, I've always been a decent communicator. I thought I was a great one, but there's some things that I've been lacking in, especially here lately. I've always been the guy where people would come to me with their problems, whether it was marital before I was married or single problems or whatever. People always came to me and would just tell me their life story, and I would always be able to give them advice or whatever. But I wouldn't necessarily, in every situation, give them the right cues or the right, to be honest, respect, body language or respect that they deserve, right? Yeah. Because being an effective communicator takes time. Yeah. It takes effort. You have to want to be an effective communicator. You got to want to care about the way other people feel. That's a choice that you have to make. So go ahead and read about providing feedback.
All right. Our personal filters, assumptions, judgments, and beliefs can distort what we hear.
Now, is that true?
Yeah.
Like if you think somebody said something, they just said, I didn't say that. You think somebody touched you? I didn't touch you, bro. I did not touch you. I didn't touch you, bro. It's just the thumbs was just busy. Yeah. I didn't touch you, bro. Don't touch me. Like, what are you talking about, Willis? What you talking about? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a listener, your role is to understand what is being said.
What is your role as a listener?
To understand what's being said.
One more time. To understand what's being said. Yeah. It's not to listen to rebuttal.
I mean, I've had conversations when, like, somebody's talking to me, especially at work or something, they talking to me. My mind is in a whole other place.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, we all have that.
Like, yeah.
We all.
And it gets your higher ups upset when they're talking to you about something serious and your mind is somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be able to understand what's being said.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
This may require you to reflect on what is being said and to ask questions.
Right.
You know? Reflect on what has been said by paraphrasing. What I'm hearing is, and sounds like you are saying, are great ways to reflect back.
Now, do you ever actually do that? People are talking
yeah, kind of, sort of. I'll say in those type of words, but yeah.
Because that's key.
I'll say what I think is this.
Well, no, that's not what it's saying. Like, so you're trying to paraphrase what they're saying, right? Yeah. So that's why it states, you say, so what I'm hearing from you is, not like what I think.
What I think you're trying to say.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask questions to clarify certain points. What do you mean when you say, is that what you mean? Yeah. Summarize the speaker's comments periodically. Especially
when they're long-winded. You got to summarize that just to make sure I didn't miss nothing. So,
like, hold on, let me get to what
Alpha,
you
Bravo, Charlie, A, B, C, and D. So, and you meant by saying this is what you were talking about, right?
That's what you were trying to say.
Right.
But you said all this over here.
Because a lot of times when we listen, we don't take the time to be an active listener. We just listen, but we don't really be hearing. Like you said, you be listening to people talk and you don't know what's going on in your mind somewhere else. You're not being an active listener. You're not. But that's what we have to do if we're going to be our brother's keeper. We've got to be active listeners, right? Loving one another, preferring one another, right? So paying attention, show, you got to prove that you're listening, provide feedback, and then you have to defer judgment. So interrupting is a waste of time. It frustrates the speaker and limits full understanding of the message. I know people that cannot let anybody get a complete thought out.
Yeah.
Some people will literally call me just so I can be on the phone with them for an hour, 2 hours.
And they talk the whole time.
Yeah, and can't really provide feedback, and it's just them going on. Low emotional intelligence, not active listeners. Big talkers though, love them. Yeah. But I know whenever they call, I already know what it is.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be an active listener, you've got to defer judgment, and you got to stop interrupting people. Mm-hmm. There's people that can't let you get full sentences out.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Like Brent, what is you talking about? Like
why is this
are we holding a conversation, or do I even need to be here?
Are you just having a conversation with me?
You want me to just leave a picture here so you can just get it out?
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Because that don't make no sense. You're going to interrupt me every time. Because the script says, he that answereth a matter before he heareth it, to him it is folly. You can't be cutting people off all the time. Like, that's not communicating. That's you trying to be a dictator.
Yeah. But I've noticed though, some people, that's just how they are. They don't realize what they're doing.
That's what I'm saying.
They're used to talking to people who don't respond sometimes, like, or just listen all the time.
And then that's where emotional intelligence comes in. Like still, I mean, because active listener, effective communication, that takes time, that takes effort, that takes training, bro. Like.
But my thing is, why would you want to have a conversation with somebody when you're just talking the whole time and not allowing them to say anything?
Some people, all they want to do is rule over people.
Yeah.
They want to dominate the because, like, love my army buddies to death, but some of them call, and I'm just basically just. Half the time, I'm just getting other stuff done. Like, okay, it's on speaker. Like, I mean, love them sometimes, but they not taking the time to have emotional intelligence to make sure that you care about the other person. Which I know they do, but man, like low emotional intelligence at times. Very intelligent people, but sometimes they have low emotional intelligence. So, again, don't interrupt people, and you have to defer judgment. It says, allow the speaker to finish each point before asking questions. So you'll be dealing with these people, again, my army buddies or whatever, and like they'll be telling you what's going on, this is that, and they're in a troubled situation, and you try to give them advice, and before you can even get 2 words out, I think I should do this and that and this and that, and it's just like, okay. Literally, bro. Like that's why I'm like, all right, man.
Well, you gotta handle things, what it sounds like.
Yeah, like but like this is what it's going to take for us to make sure we don't have any or we minimize miscommunications between each other. Yeah. Taking the time to be an active listener. Yeah. Don't interrupt with counter arguments because that's what they'll do. Those people that are real argumentative.
But what if this right here?
Yeah, hypotheticals and.
I hate hypotheticals.
Yeah, hypotheticals, and then they'll take you all around the world, and you don't even know what y'all talking about no more. And then when you get back to the point. They make it seem like they're right. It's like, I don't even know what we're talking about right now. What's that got to do with the tea in China? I don't get it.
Oh, man. What if this happened? Like, but it didn't happen.
Bro, logic. Yeah. So you have to defer judgment. And again, you don't interrupt people. You let them get their point across, and then you ask a question, right? And so the last one, right? If you don't mind reading this one.
Respond appropriately. Active listening is designed to encourage respect and understanding. You are gaining information and perspective. You add nothing by attacking the speaker or otherwise putting them down.
So attacking them or making it seem like they don't know what they're talking about, it didn't help a conversation.
No.
You have to try to find some type of common ground.
Middle ground, yeah.
And responding appropriately, respectfully. Remember, effective communication is courteous.
Yeah, don't be rude or attitude.
Right.
sarcastic. Yeah. Right. Okay. Be candid, open, and honest in your response. Assert your opinions respectfully.
Right.
Yeah. Treat the other person in a way that you think that you would want to be treated.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't exalt yourself and keep kicking people, especially when they're down. They already know they're down, you know. And it's okay to be open with people and honest. But again, when you're dealing with the body of Mashiach, when you're dealing with your brothers or sisters in Mashiach, you got to be respectful. You got to be courteous. You have to use the emotional intelligence that you have. You have to be coachable. You have to be approachable. You have to be an active listener. These are things like, these are musts. You want to be a leader, you have to work on these skills. People think, I just got to be hard. It's my way or the highway all the time. Like, man.
That's that old school church.
Bro, like, and you wonder why people can't ever get, like, on the same page.
Like, no, you get an attitude in church, are you going to hell? No matter what you say.
Boy, real quick, because, like, you're not with that ministry or you don't believe every exact thing that they believe. Because there's going to be some differences. You know, but do we believe that, Yahushua is Mashiach? Do we believe that we can have eternal salvation? Do we believe that we're forgiven of our sins? Salvation issues, not this. Man, there's so many doctrines that come out and divide people. I'm like, man, this stuff ain't got nothing to do with salvation. All this stuff is doing is further dividing people, and it really don't make no sense. So you have to pay attention to the people. We're talking about paying attention, active listeners, to the people that have a spirit of contention on them. They have a spirit of debate. All they want to do is debate. You got to leave those people alone because your peace is more important than that. Because like that stuff, man, that will drive you to an early grave.
And it'll cause confusion throughout the whole church. I mean, somebody might agree with that person, or other, you know what I mean? You just never know, man.
You always
want to argue and debate something. It's not good to have in a flock.
No, it's not. Sometimes it's good to let that one go and save the flock, right? Because a little leaven will leaven the whole lump.
Yeah.
Because time is too short for all that. So, question: are you born an active listener?
No.
Correct. Active listening is a skill that you can learn and practice. But it's something that you have to choose. It's a choice that you have to make. You have to choose, like, I'm going to be an active listener to my wife, to my significant other, to my children, to my brothers or my sisters in Mashiach, to my coworkers, to my employer. I'm going to choose to be an active listener. I'm going to choose to be coachable. I'm going to choose to be approachable. I'm going to choose to be an effective communicator. And nobody's saying that it's going to happen overnight, but we got to start making these steps to strive for that. Like, okay, all right, he's having a bad day, so I'm not even going to bring this up. I'm just going to ask my brother, if you need any help, you need to talk about something. Because again, this is all about becoming one and preferring one another, right? So again, this is about active listening, right? Because faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God, right? And it's not the hearers of the law that are justified, but the doers of it. And we know that faith is a law. So Proverbs 12. Proverbs 12, we're going to read verses 1 through 2 and verse 15, if you don't mind.
All right. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish.
What does that mean?
Reproof?
Reproof is rebuke or correction.
Oh, yeah, because that means you can't be taught nothing. Like you know everything.
So you're not coachable.
Yeah.
Right.
A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. Mm-hmm. Of course. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes.
Don't be foolish in this hour.
Yeah. But he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise.
What does it mean?
He's asking for help, asking for wisdom and knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is about the abundant friend of God. This is about being your brother's keeper. You have to use wisdom. You have to be able to accept wise counsel. And you actually have to love to be, when it's rebuked, in a respectful and courteous way that it's supposed to be. Right? Because they're helping you to life. They're showing you love, right? Open rebuke is better than secret love, right? So now we're going to go to Proverbs 15. And we're going to read verses 1 through 5 and verse 22.
A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger.
What's that mean?
That's so true.
What's that mean?
Like, okay, give somebody like a soft answer. It's like they might be mad, and instead of you come back to them
stoking the
with
flames.
Anger answer, you give them a soft, nice, courteous answer to help calm it down instead of igniting the fire.
So it's not always good to match energies,
No,
is what you're saying.
It's not. No, because you're gonna fight or argue a lot. Say some words that don't need to be said. And you never get it back to where it was.
So sometimes, with everything, you have to gauge the situation. Yeah. Sometimes it's the time for a soft answer.
Yeah, you gotta read body language.
Yeah, it's not always rah 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 rah. I'm gonna beat you down. You're going to hell. This is not. It's not always that.
You know that comes with age, though. Like the older you get, the more you start to see.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Mm-hmm. When you're young, most of the time you don't.
Yeah, because your emotions run you.
Yeah.
But like you said, as you age, as you mature, you're supposed to be controlling your emotions.
Yeah.
Right. America has created a whole generation of hyper emotional people.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to choose to not be hyper emotional. Mm-hmm. Everything's about a choice. Everything's about two seeds, right? Keep going.
The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness.
So the tongue of the wise is only going to speak about wise things, right? Foolish people, it's just going to be nothing but foolishness. Everything.
And they don't know what they're talking about.
Don't know what they're talking about.
The eyes of the Lord are in every place. Behold the evil and the good.
Mm-hmm.
A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness therein is a breach in the spirit.
Right.
Of course.
Read the next one.
A fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent.
So what does that verse mean?
A fool despiseth his father's instruction, which means he don't want to hear what somebody can tell him.
You can't tell him nothing. Yeah. Whether it's a father, a spiritual father, an uncle, a brother, somebody who's trying to give you the game.
Knowledge, who's older than you, who's been through situations that you have.
Stop listening to Kanye. You got to be told something.
I'm telling you.
You got to be able to be told something. You got to be coachable. Yeah. You have got to remain coachable in this walk. That's why people are continually falling away right now.
Because nobody knows everything.
Nobody has monopoly on the Most High.
You learn a lot more than you can by yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Without counsel, purposes and disappointed. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established.
Now, the multitude of counselors is wise counselors. Because you can't have 50 counselors and all of them wicked and think that your purpose is going to be successful when it comes in the eyes of the Most High. So, everything in order, right? So now, because we're in Proverbs, right? We're going to go to Proverbs 19. And we're going to read verses 20 through 21, right? Because this is about the abundant friend of God.
Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end.
So if you hear counsel and you receive instruction, you're being a what?
A good listener.
A what listener?
Active
listener.
Yeah.
This is about being an active listener for your benefit, to lengthen your days, for your success, right? Okay.
There are many devices in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord that shall stand.
Right. The counsel that comes from the Most High, right, is what's going to stand. But again, this is all about being an active listener for effective communication. So now we're going to go to Exodus 2, right? And we're going to read verses 15 through 25.
All right. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock.
So what is a priest? Because it's the priest of Midian. What is a priest?
It just depends on what you're talking about. I mean, you got the good priest, you got the bad priest, but it's somebody who has like higher knowledge or more
Of what?
religion.
Religion. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this word there, right? So this is about the priest of Midian who has 7 daughters, right? 7 daughters, right? So the word there is Kohanim, right? Or Cohen, right? Priest. It means also a chief ruler, an officer, or a prince, right? Yeah. Priest King Melchizedek, right? But that's why there are scriptures that talks about we'll be a nation of kings and priests. We will be a nation of chief rulers, right? So now again, this is about the abundant friend of God, right? So let's keep going. Let's just keep going.
And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock.
Okay, Moses helped out the priest's daughter, right?
Yeah, daughters, yeah. Mm-hmm. And when they came to refuel their father, refuel their father, he said, "How is it that ye are come so soon today?"
Like, wait, how y'all back so fast? What going? Yeah. So Reuel, right? So this priest of Midian, his name is Reuel, right? Which means what? Friend of God.
You got something still cut out down there at the bottom.
Sorry. Reuel or Raguel means friend of God. Okay. Friend of God, right? So this priest of Midian, his name literally means that he is a friend of God. And he has 7 daughters. And what did Moshe just do?
He just fought off them guys.
Helping the daughters of the friend of God, right? Okay. Okay, let's keep going.
And they said, "An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds and also drew water enough for us and watered the flock." So
the first thing that he did after he got kicked out of Egypt, a miracle, if you will, he basically beat up these shepherds to save these, to help them out, right? Yeah. So they could water a flock. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
A flock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he said unto his daughters, "And where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread."
Because the friend of God already knows, look, he just helped us out that fast. No, you better get him here. Yeah, bring him on.
Yeah. And Moses was content to dwell with the man. And he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. And she bare him a son. And he called his name Gershom. For he said, "I have been a stranger in a strange land."
Right, because he's a Midian, right? Yeah. He ends up becoming basically like a king over there. But keep going.
Yeah. And it came to pass in the process of time that the king of Egypt died, and the children of Israel sighed by reason of bondage, and they cried, and their cry came up unto God by reason of the bondage. And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob.
Wait, so that means that God was practicing what? Being
active listening.
So the nation decided to cry out to the Most High. That word there for cry out is za'ak. Cry, like you're crying out like with everything that you have to the Most High to deliver them from that bondage. And the Most High is like, okay, I hear you. Yeah. Okay, I got you. I'm gonna be an active listener. I'm gonna attend to y'all's prayer since y'all are in unison. Together, y'all are in one accord. Yeah. Y'all are truly a body.
And being sincere.
And sincere, in honesty. I got y'all. Because I am your allure, right? I'm going to show y'all what it's like to be an active listener. He just wants us to do the same. Because we always want to pray and ask for stuff. But when he tells us stuff or shows us stuff, do we pay attention? Do we give him our full attention? Do we make sure that we're picking up what he's putting down? Do we take that time? All of this is about being an effective listener. This is about effective communication. Yeah. Things that we all have to work on. Myself included, especially me.
What was that word again?
Which one?
About the cry.
So that word for cry out is za'ak.
That's Hebrew?
Hebrew. Za'ak. Za'ak. Mm-hmm.
And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them.
So they got in one accord and prayed and cried out together, and next thing you know, the Most High like, oh yeah, I got y'all.
Yeah, I got respect for y'all now.
It's a beautiful thing when you prefer one another over being in a captivity. Mm-hmm. or in a captive mind state. The Most High, man, active listening, effective communication. So now, we're going to try to get this done. We're going to go to the book of Exodus 18. We're going to read this whole chapter, and then we're going to call it a Shabbat. All right. We ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get it.
When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and that the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt.
No, wait. I thought Moses' father-in-law's name was Ruel. We just read that.
That's what I thought too, but I guess Jethro.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to the slide. I'm gonna go forward. Huh?
He must have married more than one.
He was, but this is the same guy. This is the priest of Midian.
Okay.
Still the same guy. Okay.
Then,
Hold on. So Jethro, right? Jethro means his abundance. So both of his names literally mean the abundant friend of God. Moses married the daughter of the abundant friend of God. And Moses was the only one to talk to the Most High even face to face. There was a blessing behind that, even that obedience, right? So I just wanted you to see that. Okay. So again, this is about effective communication. This is about active listening. Okay, keep going.
Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, and he had sent her back,
Right.
and her 2 sons, of which the name of the one was Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in a strange land.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of the other was Eleazar, for the God of my father, said he, was my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh.
So talk about being an active listener. So Exodus 18 literally starts with the priest of Midian, the abundant friend of God, listening to all the exploits that Moses had just led the children of Israel. And then after he listened to that, he was like, oh, I can actually bring Moses his family now. Oh, I'm going to be an active listener. Like, this is the right time. It's time for that. I ain't seen my son-in-law in a while. Let me go check in on that. Active listening, right? So keep going, because I just saw that. I'm like, okay, all right.
And Jethro, did I just read
Yep.
it? Okay. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moses into the wilderness, where he encamped at the Mount of God.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto Moses, I, thy father-in-law Jethro, am come unto thee, and thy wife, and her 2 sons with her. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and did obedience and kissed him.
So he humbled himself, right? Because he's basically a king and a priest right now.
Yeah.
Moses is, right? But he sees his father-in-law, he's still going to give him the respect. It's all about respect and honor, right?
And they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. And Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done unto Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how the Lord delivered them.
So Jethro, he's lit, like he's getting the 411 from the horse's mouth. Yeah. Look, this how it went down, pops. This is what we did, right? Keep going.
And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Lord had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians.
Active listening, right?
Mm-hmm. And Jethro said, Blessed be the Lord, who hath delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh.
He's providing feedback.
Yeah.
He's providing feedback, right? Okay, all right.
Who hath delivered the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them.
Right, so he started paraphrasing and saying the stuff back to him that Moses is saying to him. Active listening, right? The abundant friend of God, okay?
And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for God. And Aaron came, and all the elders of Israel, to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God.
Now, so what does that represent? So he's a priest making a sacrifice. And so they're going to eat offerings and bread. That's a covenant, right? That's covenant talk whenever you see stuff like that, right? So we're almost done. So go ahead.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people. And the people stood by Moses from the morning until the evening. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone? And all the people stand by thee from morning until evening.
Now, you think, even though that's his father-in-law, you think that's a wise thing to talk to basically a king and a priest like that?
No, they got their own situation going on.
Like, what you mean? Like, what do you mean, what am I doing here? Sitting before the people from morning to, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? So, what is Jethro really asking Moshe, right? That's a question that you think about. Keep going.
And Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of God. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws.
So now Jethro has to use that active listening, like, okay, so you're judging every situation. Now, when they came out of Egypt, you're talking about millions of people. Millions of people. Days. There's going to be stuff new coming up every day. What are you talking about? Days. Right? Okay, wait. God's law. Okay, yep.
And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, The thing that thou doest is not good.
Now, do you think you should be saying that to Moses?
No.
Because, like, okay, if that was you, would you take offense to it?
I'm like, it's not your, like, you have no say-so in this. Like, let me do what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
But remember, a leader's got to be approachable.
That's true.
And coachable. Okay, keep going.
Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Okay, I see why he's saying that. Thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Okay, so now it's making more sense.
Right, because he's trying to help him.
Yeah, he'll get worn out doing all that.
Yeah, for probably like 3 to 5 million people, one person judging everything is like, you can't do this.
You're gonna lose your patience.
You're gonna lose your mind.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna be able to. You'll never be able to judge everybody. It's just not feasible. So Moses and his father-in-law Jethro both have to be operating in coachability and approachability. They both have to be working on being effective communicators and active listeners to each other, right? Because he asked Moses. Moses told him everything. And then he watched Moses, and then he asked Moses questions, and Moses answered him, and then he responds. So both of those things, they both have to be practicing effective communication in order to not have a disagreement, right? To not have a falling out.
Hearken now unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to Godward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God. And thou shalt teach them ordinances and laws, and shalt shew them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. So
listen to my wise counsel, because remember, we just read in Proverbs where it talks about you can't be like foolish and not listen to a father's instruction. That's his father-in-law.
Yeah.
You still got to take that into account, to heart, right? Okay.
Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s and rulers of 10s.
So in other words, make these people do something. Ain't no way it should just all fall on one person. So assembly should not fall apart when one person leaves.
Like let all the elders get a portion or something.
Right.
Break it down.
That's why it's a body. When somebody's sick or something, somebody else should be stepping in to keep the thing going.
Yeah.
Because we're all leaders, right? We can all fulfill these roles. We just have to be put in these places, in positions to where we will succeed, though. But, man, it should not just be about one person. It's about a body, bro.
Yeah.
A body of believers, right? Okay.
And let them judge the people in all seasons, and and it shall be, that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. Make it a whole lot easier.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people where they just try to do everything, like, and then you hear them complaining about everything because they have to do this, and that, because you won't delegate.
But then they also say, well, if I won't do it, it won't get done right.
Right. Mm-hmm. So do you want help or do you not? Or do you just want to be in this position so you can complain about it? Yeah. Like, which one is it? Because we have people for delegation to help out. You know, that's what a brother's supposed to do. Yeah. We're supposed to be our brother's keeper. Sure. Supposed to look out. But Moses, he had such a burden, like literally from the time he got up to the time he probably couldn't even sit down and eat in peace, having to judge people. That's wild. Dealing with all the emotions and anger and irritations of millions of people, one person judging everything.
And it's stressful too.
Yeah, they'll drive everybody nuts. Nuts.
Man. If thou shalt do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure, and all this people shall also go to their place in peace.
Now, what did he just tell him?
About breaking it down, like let different people help him.
Right, but he just said, if you shall do this thing, right?
Yeah, what he was talking about.
But then he says, and God command you so.
Oh, yeah.
So then you have to pray to the Most High, and then you have to be an active listener to see if this is truly the words from the abundant friend of God, of the Most High. Yeah. You still have to be an active listener. You still have to be coachable and approachable to make sure that you can discern. So the thing about that word discernment, so you have to be able to discern times and seasons, but you have discernment in situations so you can discern men. So you can discern whether they're for your good or for your fall. Yeah. You know, so he's like, if you do this thing, and if God, the Most High tells you to do it also. Mm-hmm. So don't just take my words. You pray to the Most High and you be an active listener. Mm-hmm. You practice effective communication. And if that's the case, you will be blessed because I am the abundant friend of the Most High. Right? Okay. Wise counsel.
Yeah. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. Wow. Mm-hmm.
He did all that he said. Mm-hmm. Made his life a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Moses chose to be able men out of all Israel, and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought unto Moses, but every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land.
So in this hour, we got to know those who labor among us, know who we can trust. We have to practice effective communication, active listening. It's a choice. And we have to be able and humble enough to listen to wise counsel, because one man or one woman cannot do everything. Like that time when one person's got so many hats to where they can't even function, that's over with. Put people in positions and see if they can step up. Help them, but see if they can step up. It's that time. Because as a body, the whole body has to grow. You know, unless you return as a child, you can't enter into the kingdom of heaven. But every child grows, so that means that the whole body grows. It's not just one element or extremity of the body grows. Everybody, every part of it has to grow. Every part of the body has to function. And again, it's about effective communication. This is about being an active listener. And that was the abundant friend of God. Did that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, sir. So, Father, we thank you for your word, which endure forever. We ask for you to forgive us of our sins and the sins of our ancestors. Thank you for life and life more abundantly. Thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for the clothes on our backs, the shoes on our feet. Thank you for our vehicles. Thank you for the finances, Father. Thank you for your love, which covers a multitude and even all sins, Father. Thank you, Father, for giving us wise counsel. Thank you, Father, for allowing us and teaching us how to be active listeners to your still small voice, Father. Thank you for never leaving us nor forsaking us, Father. All these things we do ask and pray. And also, Father, again, we ask for you to send health and vitality, Father, to all those that cry out to you, that believe in your power and in your faith, Father. We thank you for the manifestation of the healings, Father. In the name of your beloved Son, in whom you are well pleased. Amen. So please subscribe, like, share.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Until next time, peace, family.